ሰላም የቴክኢት ቤተሰቦቻችን እንዴት አምሽታችኋል? ሁላችሁም እዚህ ጋር ያላችሁት ጆይን ስላደረጋችሁ እናመሰግናለን። ዛሬ እንግዲህ የቴክኢት ፖድካስት ሲዝን 3 ሁለተኛውን ኤፒሶድ ነው ይዘንላችሁ የመጣ ነው። ብዙ ነገሮች የምንማርበት ኤፒሶድ ነው የሚሆነው። ሆስት ማድረግላችሁ ህሊና ነኝ። ግን ዛሬ ለየት ባለ መልኩ ሌላ ኮሆስት ይዘንላችሁ መጥተናል። ሄኖክ ይባላል። ኮንቨርሴሽናችንን በሁለት ሴግመንት የምንከፍለው ይሆናል። የመጀመሪያው ሴግመንት ገስታችን ከሄኖክ ጋር ነው ስለ ፊዚክስ እና ኮስሞሎጂ ሪሌትድ የሆኑ ኩዌስችንስ ላይ ኮንቨርሴሽናቸውን የሚያደርጉት። እሱ ሲያልቅ ደግሞ ከኔ ጋር ስለ ዴታ ሳይንስ የምናወራ ይሆናል። እስከ መጨረሻው አብራችሁን ቆዩ። ሄኖክ ራስህንና ገስታችንን አስተዋውቀ ወደ ጥያቄዎች መግባት ትችላለህ።
እንደምን አመሻችሁ። ሄኖክ በላይነህ እባላለሁ። የአራተኛ ዓመት ኤሌክትሪካል ኢንጂነሪንግ ተማሪ ነኝ። 5 ኪሎ። ህሊና እንዳለችው ለዛሬ ገስት ከሆስታ ነኝ። የዛሬውን ዲስቲንግዊሽድ እንግዳችንን ዶክተር ያበባል ፈንታይን ተርቲን እያደረኩ የምቆየው እኔ ይሆናል ለማለት ነው አብሬያችሁ። እንግዲህ ዶክተር ያበባል ፈንታይ እንደሚታወቀው የቴና አካዳሚ እንደ Tenacious ኢንቴሊጀንስ ኮርፖሬሽን ማለት ኮፋውንደር ነው። እስከ 2019 ድረስ በኤአይኤምሲ ኤምኤስ ሳውዝ አፍሪካ ማለት አፍሪካን ኢንስቲትዩት ፎር ማቴማቲካል ሳይንስስ ውስጥ ጁኒየር ሪሰርች ሳይንቲስት ቼር ነበረ። and also he has been working on the investigation of the statistical properties of the universe using cosmic microwave background data that's obtained from the Planck satellite. Today we aim to delve into his fascinating journey, explore his work እንዲሁም እስካሁን ከሰራቸው ነገሮች ውስጥ ተነስተን ወደ ውስጥ የምንገባ ይሆናል። We are deeply honored to have you here, sir, as our guest, Dr. Yabebal. Okay, to kick off the podcast ለመጀመሪያ ያክል why don't you start with your personal journey, sir, doctor? My question for you is, my first question, what sparked your interest in cosmology? Cosmology ውስጥ ፍላጎትህን ያመጣው ኢንትረስትን እሱን የማጥናቱን ፍላጎት ያመጣው ምን ነበረ? ከዚህ ጋር ያይዘክ ደግሞ አንተ የተከተልከውን ፓዝ ለመከተል የሚፈልጉ ብዙ ኢትዮጵያን ብሬት ማይንዶችን አይተናል። ነገር ግን ባጭሩ ሲቀጩ ነው የምናየው እና ያንተን ፓዝ ለመከተል ያልቻሉት ለምን ይመስላል? ለአንተስ ዲፋይኒንግ ሞመንት ነበረ ወይ ይሄንን ፓዝ ተከትለክ ኮስሞሎጂስት አስትሮፊዚስት ለመሆን ማለት ነው?
ቴንክ ዩ። ጀስት እንትን ለማድረግ አብዛኛውን አሁን ኮስሞሎጂ ኤምስ አብዛኛውን እነ ፓስት ኤምስ ላይ አይደለውም። አሁን ጀስት እንትኑን ኮሬክት ለማድረግ ኢንፎርሜሽን ከረንትሊ አይ አም ወርኪንግ ኢንታየርሊ ኦን ቴና አካዳሚ እና ሌሎች ኢኒሺዬቲቮች ላይክ ፎር ፕሮፊት እና ፎር ነን ፕሮፊት ኦርጋናይዜሽኖች ጋር ኤምስን 2019 ላይ ነው ጀስት ሊቭ አድርጌ ወደዚህ ሞስትሊ ፎከስ ያደረኩት። In terms of like አንተ ለጠየቀው ጥያቄ like cosmology, I mean I think it's almost always ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ምርጫ ብዙ የለም ለኔ ማለት አብዛኛውን ጊዜ we didn't grow up like የተለያየ ፊልዶች ላይ ብዙ ኢንትረስት ነው በቃ የሚኖረው የሆነ እና ኦፖርቹኒቲ ነው የሚኖረው። እኔ if I attribute ምንድነው ብንል I think there is a personal element of it, which again discover ያደረኩት later, like reanalyze past analysis ትሰራ ለራስህ አንደኛው that I'm ያልመለስኩት ጥያቄ ካለ የሆነ ጥያቄ ተጠይቆ ለዛ ሌላ ከስሩ የተያዘ ነገር ካለ እሱን ካልመለስኩኝ satisfied አልሆንም። So that's a personal element አንዳለ። ሁለተኛው ፊዚክስ መግባቴ ፊዚክስ ላይ I had the opportunity to learn more about every element, but in particular modern physics, quantum physics, nuclear physics, that the way that how physics understands the world is slightly different from other fields. So for example, mathematics has a different way of understanding, so physics is a lot more closer to understanding objects and properties. It's a basic science. So የሆነ curiosity-ህንም ወደዛ shift ያደርገዋል ወደ basic science questions instead of if I was studying medicine, probably I would have been more interested about biology and related የሆነውን element, while physics ላይ ደግሞ a lot more about, of course, the universe, the world, and everything like that. So then the third component probably is opportunity. And that opportunity came. The first thing that I went to BSc እንደጨረስኩኝ was South Africa ነበረ። South Africa የሄድኩበት ፕሮግራም it's called National Space Science and Astrophysics የሚባል ፕሮግራም ነበረ የሚባለው። So then I started my initial path there doing basically astrophysics and space science. From there ቅድም ያልኩት የፐርሰናል ኢንትረስት ምን ያደርገዋል? Okay, even if I do some space, then I study about ionosphere and things, and orbits and how to send satellite. Then I'm like, okay, then what happens? For every question, you have another question, which is like, okay, where did actually Earth come from, and where is the ionosphere? And then I need to answer. And then astronomy, astrophysics, my master's was mostly on that. And then I studied, okay, then how did galaxies form? And so then finally that the quest for understanding really just, where did all this start, led me mostly to focus on cosmology. And within cosmology as well, actually Big Bang, I could have studied as well galaxies and stuff, but there I was mostly interested about Big Bang, and within the Big Bang also the early times data driven በሆነው, which is the cosmic microwave background የሚባል አለ, which is that you and I microwave እንትን አይ ስለሌለን ነው እንጂ አይናችን የሚሰራው በማይክሮዌቭ ላይትን ማየት የሚችል ቢሆን ኖሮ we can actually see the universe as it gets created. So yeah, so that basically the three components: opportunity, studying physics, and my personal curiosity to just go ask and answer, get the question for every question, the ultimate question probably led me to that. So I would say that.
ያስኬዳል ማለት ማይክሮዌቭ ሲባል ሂስትሪ ሲባል ማለት በክሬሽን ጊዜ የነበረው ማይክሮዌቭ እኛን ምድርን እስኪደርስ ድረስ ብዙ አመት ስለፈጀበት ነው አሁን እኛ እሱን ዲቴክት ማድረግ የቻልነው ጀስት ቱ ሼር ላይት ማለት ነው።
Yes. So ሲጀምር universe in the Big Bang, which is the current not only just theory, but it's actually highly evidenced የሆነው model. Yes, the universe started hot and dense. I think everybody who watched also the Big Bang TV series, the first song, and that's correct. It's hot and dense. That means it started as basically really, really, and there's an explanation for that. And at that time, the energy is high, and that energy high means temperature is also high. At the center of the sun, for example, the energy is high. Therefore, also whatever comes out from the center of the sun is also, at high frequency, gamma rays and that. So the universe, of course, started with that. But because the universe expands, and as it expands, light lives on the universe, on the space-time, and therefore light itself gets stretched. And a stretched light is what is called, the wavelengths. I think everybody from high school physics, like as the wavelengths increases, that's what we classify light into, gamma rays, visible light, infrared, microwave, radio wave, እያለን የምንከፋፍለው። So because light is embedded in space and the frequency of light changes as the space increases, the wavelengths of light increases, therefore that's why exactly አንተ እንዳልከው, in time it got from that very high, very ultra gamma light to become exactly the microwave currently. In the future, in a couple of, I don't know, maybe 10 whatever billion years, then it will go to radio and like that. So the light start as the universe expands, the light that comes from the Big Bang gets stretched and changes wavelengths, and that means it moves from one spectrum to another spectrum.
እሺ እናመሰግናለን ዶክተር። ወደ ሁለተኛው ጥያቄ ሳልፍ አብዛኞቹ አድማጮቻችን እኔንም ጨምሮ ቴክኖሎጂ እና አይቲ ኦሪየንትድ ነን እና ሼር ላይት ኦን ዘ ማተር ኮዝሞሎጂን ዲፋይን ቢያደርጉልን ኮዝሞሎጂን ቢገልጹልን አጠር አድርገው እንዲሁም ደግሞ ኮዝሞሎጂ ምን አይነት ፕሮፋውንድ የሆኑ ጥያቄዎችን ዩኒቨርስ ላይ ያሉ ጥያቄዎችን ለመመለስ ይጥራል የሚለውን ሊመልስልኝ ይችላሉ? አጠር አድርገው ቢነግሩልኝ ዶክተር።
So cosmology is, the same as sociology, psychology እንደምንለው ወይንም ደግሞ from a biology perspective የሆነ ሴሉላር የሆነ ነገር የሚያጠናለ ሞለኪውላር የሆነ ነገር የሚያጠናለ ከዛ ደግሞ ቲሹ ዋይዝ የሚያጠናለ ከዛ ኦርጋኒዝም ዋይዝ ፊዚዮሎጂ የሚያጠናለ so how we study things, the scale of it matters. So if we are studying ለምሳሌ sociology, then the human species ወይም ደግሞ የሆነ species እንደማጥናት ነው. And then when psychology, probably it's still individuals እና relations ነው. And then as we go down to tissues, within individuals, a certain tissues እንዳለው and in astronomy space የምንለው አለ, which is a lot more within the sun and earth ላይ የሚያጠናው ነው. So basically within this context scale እሱ ነው. Yes, የearth የmoon እና የsun scale ነው ያለው. So distance scale more whatever scale ስታየው እንደሱ ነው. Then you go to astronomy, and astronomy is the study of things more on stars, objects in the sky. ያለውን ስኬሉ ሃይ ነው, galaxy level ትሄዳለህ. Then as you get more into astronomy, is of course a broader name ነው, ግን a lot more astronomy የሚያጠናው ኖርማሊ ቴሌስኮፕ የሚያያቸውን ነገሮች ብዙ ጊዜ ስተዲ ያደርጋል. Then astrophysics ስንል the physics of astronomy ነው. So basically the same as astronomy, but the physics, the theoretical foundation and that ያጠናል. Cosmology ስንል ስኬሉ everything that is the bigger scale, basically the human species እንደምንለው, in this case every species on the universe. So which means the biggest thing in the universe የሚያጠናው cosmology. What it tries to answer is also exactly the beginning, the evolution, and the future fate of the universe. So that's why it studies about Big Bang and relates to that. It studies about how galaxies form and dark matter, dark energy, or what other elements and matter exist in the universe. So it's the scale of it is about that, and it uses different techniques, mathematics as well as physics, and astronomy and astrophysics and everything to answer these questions. So it is it studies about really the beginning, the evolution, and the fate of the universe, and it answers questions like that. So Einstein's general relativity is about space-time itself, what it means, and that's cosmology. And if you are about Big Bang, it's about the beginning of it. And if you want to study about dark matter, dark energy, there is astrophysics, and it's partly, if you study it as a galaxy, it's astrophysics, but cosmology tries to study that scale. So hopefully that answers in not so long your question.
እሺ እናመሰግናለን። ሶስተኛው ጥያቄ what have the study of cosmology done for us humans? ማለት አብዛኛው ሰው ምንድነው የሚለው ለምንድነው እኛ ለታክስ ብለን የምንከፍለው ገንዘብ ለኮስሞሎጂ ለአስትሮፊዚክስ የሚመደበው ሁሉ ይላል። it is understood as if ስቴሪዮታይፑ ማለት ነው። it's understood as if it is a waste of money, it is like a luxury science እንደዛ ነው understood የሚሆነው። out of pure scientific curiosity ነው ኮስሞሎጂን ወይም አስትሮፊዚክስን ማጥናት እያጠናን ያለ ነው ማለት እያጠኑ ያሉት ወይስ ታንጀብል የሆነ የሚጨበጥ የሚዳሰስ አፕሊኬሽን ኖሮት ነው ዳይ ቱ ዳይ ላይፋችን ላይ በዛ ያን ፕሪንሲፕል ተጠቅመው የሚሰሩ ዲቫይሶች ኖረው ነው ወይ የሚለውን ቢያብራሩልኝስ ዶክተር?
I think let's say ይሄ ጥያቄ ብዙ ጊዜ ይጠይቃል። እኔም ፊዚክስ ዩኒየን እያለው አብዛኛውን ጊዜ ስለ ፊዚክስ የምጠይቀው እንደዛ ነበረ። ሎት ሞር ምንድነው I think አንዳንድ ጊዜ ኮስሞሎጂ ወይንም ሌላ እንደዚህ አይነት ቦታዎች ላይ ማጥናት ጥቅሙ ምንድነው? ይሄን ጥያቄ ደጋግመህ ትጠይቃለህ። And now what happens is that it's actually the question is wrong. Like, of course, እንደዛ ስትል አንድ ነገር እንደዛ ስትል ኤቪደንስ ማቅረብ አለብህ. And I tell you just one evidence. There's nothing in this world ጥቅም ብቻ ያመጣ የለም እና ማለት ብዙ ነገሮች they almost always understanding something. The brain, it's the same brain that understands whether it's cosmology, whether it's medicine, whether it is what kills you or what heals you. It is the same brain. And a brain is really, a brain that knows how to study remote things, knows how to do everything else, like, right? So the same brain ስለሆነ አንዳንድ ጊዜ ጥያቄው ብሬን ምን ያህል አወቀ፣ ምን ያህል አደገ፣ ምን ያህል ቴክኒክ አለው የሚታየውንና የማይታየውን የሚመረምርበት ነው ጥያቄው መሆን ያለበት። ኮስሞሎጂ is, a field ነው። በቃ የሆነ አንድ ልክ እንደ ሜዲሲን it's just another field ነው። ሜዲሲን ስላዳነ ጥቅም አለው ማለት አይደለም። it's just what's really important is that it just the way it does it, ያዳነበት ምክንያት the way it does it. The mind finds a strategy አንድ ነገር ለማጥናት፣ በሽታን ለማጥናት፣ በሽታውን ሲምፕተሙን አይደንቲፋይ ለማድረግ፣ ከዛም ኪውር ለማድረግ that's a strategy, that's abstraction. እና a lot more of it የምታገኘው ቫልዩ የተለያየ አይነት way of understandingን ማምጣት ስትችል Now, anything in this world, including everything that you use now, your phone, your camera, what can I say, your TV, every electronic use was actually in part was through cosmology. Cosmology ብቻ ነው ያልኩ አይደለም. The reason is because the techniques that was used to understand the universe, general relativity gave us quantum theories. And the studies people use particle physics gave us some understanding and solving some Schrodinger equations. And that led to understanding, okay, atoms move this way, so we can use those atoms. If we move them that way, they become TV. If we move them that way, they become chips, and therefore it becomes computer. You see what I mean? Then there is no, if you ask then, how, give me what cosmology gave me, that it's the brain. One has to focus on the brain, and the brain, what methods and tools does it find to figure out unknown things, and then it just doesn't only it uses art to design, it uses science to to understand, learn the property of something, new materials, new things, and then it uses engineering knowledge to build it. So a brain that doesn't have that will not build. So then the question is not about cosmology, it's about, what does the brain know and what tools that the brain use to solve and address and to know. So I think, we can mention, one can go to the internet and search what cosmology gave, from there's millions and millions, including, as I said, general relativity led to everything that you now think, and quantum, and Newton's laws, they are also cosmology, and how we use Newton's laws. So I think answering one specific thing will not be, but the brain, in any way, one has to not really think. So the utility theory of knowledge is important, but as a knowledge itself, more than as one particular thing, because knowledge is combined and composed to form something. So I think I will just stop there, because that's the key element. ከሜዲሲን ብዙ አይለይም ኢምፓርት ማለት ለውጡ ግን እንዳልከው የሚያጠናው ነገር ይለያል፣ ግን የሚጠቀምበት ወይ ደሴም ነው እና ሜዲሲን ላይ የምትጠቀምበትን አንዳንድ ኖሌጆች the techniques, how to do science, good science, ለምሳሌ how to be the scientific methods, it comes because you wanted to use የሆነ ሌላ ነገር ስታጠና. So yes, I think the simple question እኔ አሁን ዩኒቨርሲቲ ላይ ያለው ለራሴ ቢመለስልኝ የሚገባኝ የነበረው አለ, which I am not directly answering now. እሱ ምንድነው? yes, focus ነበር wrong. Focus it's knowledge ላይ ሳይሆንና brain ላይ ሳይሆን focus ፊልዱ ላይ ነው ኤክስተርናል ፓርቱ and I understand. I mean, I was there as well. Again, important part yes, the tools and techniques, the merits and the utility of something measure what new methodologies and new insights አመጣልን የዓለም ላይ ያለውን አዲስ ማናቀውን አሳወቀን በሱ ተጠቅመን የምንሰራቸው ነገሮች ኢንፊኒት ስለሆኑ ማለት ነው ኮምባይን አሁን ገባ ሜዲሲን አሁን ኤአይ ሜዲሲንን እየሰራ ዴታ ሳይንስ ሜዲሲንን እየሰራ ያንን ዴታ ሳይንስ እና ስታቲስቲካል ሞዴሊንግን ያመጣው ግን ኮስሞሎጂ ሊሆን ይችላል እና ሎት ኦፍ ኢት ኢዝ እንደዛ ነው ገባ ማቴማቲክስ ነው ያመጣው አንዳንድ ነገሮችን አንዳንዱ ኮስሞሎጂ ነው አንዳንዱ ፊዚክስ ነው አንዳንዱ ባዮሎጂ ነው ሶ የተለያየ ነገር ሁሉም አምጥቶ አገናኝቶ ነው ሪሊ ሬሌቫንት ሶ አንድም ነገር በሆነ በአንድ ኖሌጅ ብቻ የተሰራ including medicine, including, the medicine that you just take. Atom ባይታወቅ አንድ ሰው መድኃኒት መስራት አይችልም። አተም ለመታወቅ የሆነ ሰው ኮስሞሎጂ ማጥናት አለበት። ኮስሞሎጂውን ደግሞ ሲያጠና they have to use የፊዚክስ ኖሌጅ። ፊዚክሱን ለማወቅ ደግሞ ማቴማቲክስ ቴክኒኮችን መጠቀም አለባቸው። ማቴማቲክስን ደግሞ ለማወቅ አርት መስራት ነበረብን። So it's very connected. Knowledge is a body, like it's not one, ስለ ሰው ስለ ልብ ብቻ ታወራ። Knowledge is just like in the organism, combined ነገሮች ናቸው ወደዛ የሚያደርስ።
እሺ እናመሰግናለን። ወደ አራተኛው ጥያቄ ሳልፍ Doctor, I believe that you are a polymath, like an expert in many scientific fields. Since you have an expertise in cosmology like expert not astrophysics, mathematics, statistics, artificial intelligence, and also data science, and many more ማለት ነው. How did you pull that off? እንዴት ማለት እነዚህ የሳይንስ ሴክተሮች እርስ በርሳቸው የተለያዩ ዳይቨርጅ የሚያደርጉ ናቸው ብዬ አምናለሁ እና ይመስላልና እነዚህ እንዴት ነው በአንድ ላይ እነዚህን ሁሉ ኤሪያዎች ለማጥናት የቻሉት? እንዴት ነው ፎከስስ የሚያደርጉት አንዱ ላይ? How did you pull that off የሚለውን እስኪ ቢያብራሩልኝ ደስ ይለኛል። ዶክተር ድሎን ለርሶ ሰጣለሁ።
I think ኤክስፐርት የሚለው ምናልባት የተለያየ ሌቭል አለው። ሶ ኦፍ ኮርስ የሆነ ታይምህ ያጠፋህበት ነው ዋናው ኤክስፐርት የሚያደርገው። ሶ ኢን ሰም ኤሪያስ አይ ማይት ቢ አዌር አይ ማይት ሃቭ ኮንትሪቢዩትድ፣ ግን ኤክስፐርት የሚለው ላይ ያን ያህል ላላጠፋበት እችላለሁ። ሶ ኤክስፐርት የሚለውን ተውና የስ አይ ኮንትሪቢዩትድ ኢን ዶስ ኤሪያስ። ግን ቅድም ባልኩ ነው የማየው እኔ fortunately or unfortunately I started a lot of my አብዛኛው ጊዜዎቼ even ከአርቲስትስ ጋር I spent a lot of time and then ከሳይንቲስቶች ጋር then ከኢንጂነሮች ጋር so what happens is that I like again by nature I never understood የሆነ ምንድነው ፊዚክስን ሳጠና የምጠይቀው ጥያቄ ሮንግ ቢሆንም it's because I didn't understand it ያኔ of course አንዳንድ ጊዜ ብዙ መቆየት ጥቅም አለው ብዙ የተለያየ ሰው ጋር ኢንተራክት ማድረግ ያንን ዳይቨርሲቲን like and currently my real definition of knowledge is that የሚያስፈልግህን ታውቃለህ ለጎን ነገር ዋናው ስራው የሆነ ነገር መስራት የሚፈልግ ሰው ያን ለመስራት የሚያስፈልገውን ያውቃል and if they have to just መዶሻና ዶም እንትን ይዘው ምስማር ይዘው መቀጥቀጥ ስኪል ካስፈልገው ያንን ስኪል መማር አለባቸው then እንደገና ደግሞ መቀባት ካስፈልገ ትቀባለህ so it's a lot more አንድ ነገር ለመስራት የተለያየ ነገር ታደርጋለህ አንዳንድ ጊዜ of course አንዳንድ ሰው የሆነች በጣም የሆነች ስፔሲፊክ ኤሪያ ይዞ በጣም ዲፕ ሊሄድ ይችላል which is nice አንዳንዱ ደግሞ የተለያየ እኔ አብዛኛውን ዴታ ላይም ስሰራ ስለነበር ኮስሞሎጂም ላይ ቢሆንም I was actually analyzing petabytes of data so I needed to know statistical modeling I needed to know writing computer codes that runs in 10,000s of CPUs and I needed to understand the memory structure and the data structure of a computer so that I can efficiently leverage ያለኝን CPU እና memory and then I have to also interpret that into the cosmology understanding interpret ማድረግ so and then ለሱ ደግሞ algorithm design ለማድረግ ለአንዳንዶቹ ደግሞ you need to do mathematical so in part እሱ ነው ማለት እዚህም እዛም ያደረሰኝ it's not much but it's like like different collaborations ስለነበረ different ሰዎች ጋር መስራት ስሰራ ስለነበረ ያ ነው እንደዛ ያደረሰው But as I said, I didn't consider it into what I am considering it is a lot more. Just because what needs to be done will be done. And in some things you are very good, in some things you might not be very good. So, but the point is not that. The point is you complement network በማድረግ ከሌላው ሰው ጋር ስትሮንግ ያልሆንክበትን ሌላው ሰው ይሰራል። So then strong የሆንከውን ደግሞ you do it. So I think yeah, ምንድነው ሚስጥር ሳይሆን ያለው በቃ ፎከስ የት ላይ ነው? ፎከስ እኔ የሆነ ስራ መሰራት ካለበት whatever it takes ነኝ። So whatever it takes, you have to do it. If it requires biology knowledge, get biology knowledge. If it requires cosmology, do cosmology. If it requires mathematics, do mathematics. So don't focus on the field, but more on what you want the outcome. And an example, not really being daring, just want to do something, but still committed to doing it allows you to learn everything, like whatever it's necessary. No.
ሲመስለኝ ያለፈችው ዱቄትን አምጪ የሚለው አባባል ማለት ነው። ያን ነገር ለመስራት የሚያስፈልግ የትኛውን ኖሌጅ ያን ሁሉ መጠቀም አለብን ማለት ነው። ለምሳሌ እሱ ከሆነ ሳተላይት ከሚመስለኝ የፕላንክ ሳተላይት መሰለኝ ከዛ ቢግ ዳታ ነበር ነው አናሊሲስ ለማድረግ የግድ ዳታ ኢንጂነሪንግ ኤአይ መጠቀም ነበረበት ነው ያን ተጠቀሙ ማለት ነው።
ኤግዛክትሊ ያ ሶ whatever it ማለት ዋናው ስራው ላይ ፎከስ ማድረግ እንትኑ ላይ ፎከስ ከማድረግ whatever it takes በቃ እና አንዳንድ ጊዜ ይቀላል ስታወራ ይሄን ልስራ ስትል but ያን ለመስራት ግን አንዳንድ ጊዜ you might that's why what it takes የሚለው እሱ ነው። do you have what it takes ሲባል okay ላልከው ነገር do you really go and learn whatever it takes to do it? If so, then you will learn so many things, believe me.
እናመሰግናለን ዶክተር። I just have a couple more questions. Okay, አምስተኛው ጥያቄ do you think that humanity will comprehend the universe to its fullest extent? ማለት የሰው ልጅ አንደርስታንድ ሊያደርገው አይችልም ተብሎ የሚታሰብ የዩኒቨርስ አካል ክፍል ወይም ቦታ የለም ወይም ጥንሰ ሀሳብ የለም ወይ? ከዚህ ጋር አያይዘው ደግሞ የዩኒቨርስን ማጥናቶት ኮስሞሎጂ አስትሮፊዚክስን ማጥናቶት በእርሶ ፊሎሶፊካልና ስፒሪቹዋል ዌይ ላይፍ ላይ ኢፌክት አለው ወይ? ማለት ምን ያክል ኢንፍሉዌንስ አድርገውታል ይሄ ነገር? ማለት የሆነ ዲስከቨሪ በተገኘ ቁጥር ለዛ ኤቪደንስ ተገኝቶለት ፕሩቭ በተደረገ ቁጥር ኤስኤምኤስ we find another bigger problem ካገኘነው ሶሉሽን በላይ ማለት ነው እና የሚያልቅ አይመስልም እና ለኦዲየንሱ ይሄን ነገር ኤክስፕሌን ቢያደርጉት ያለውትን ሀሳብ ያለውትን ስታንድ በዚህ ላይ ቢያብራሩልን ደስ ይለኛል ዶክተር።
ኢንፍሉዌንስ አድርጎታል። Yeah, it is, the universe is big, and it is a very understatement just to say it's big. It is just, we don't understand the fullest of it. We try to summarize it, and the true science is that we only know what we know so far. And after 1,000 years, we will know what we will know then. So we will know that there is going to be still a lot of things we don't know. As a science, you will not give up from believing that it will be knowable. It's just a matter of time. But who knows? ስለዚህ በግልጽ እንትኑ አለ ወይ የለም ወይ የእግዚአብሔር ስራ ነው ብለህ ብታስበው ወይም ደግሞ የሆነ who knows የፈጠረ ካለ የፈጠረ ያውቀዋል በቃ ያልቃል የፈጠረውን ነገሮች ብለህ ታያለህ። ግን from a science perspective እንደሱ ብለህ አይደለም የምታየው። ሳይንስ ፐርስፔክቲቭ በቃ ጊዜ ስለሌለኝ ነው እንጂ እኮ I will just finish it በቃ I will just know and there is a lot of things that are to be known, and you have just probably figured out only some things. You might sometimes think you have finished it, and then sometimes then a small uncertainty ለምሳሌ የሆነ 19ኛው ክፍለ ዘመን ሲጨርስ ወይም ደግሞ በ1899 አካባቢ ሰዎች በቃ they thought everything they knew, they didn't even have computer, like they didn't even have atoms, but they thought they knew everything because they have a statistical model ምናምን። So and then you start realizing, okay, that small tiny Mercury or Venus that you didn't understand just gave you Einstein's relativity, ከዛ ደግሞ quantum, ከዛ እያለ ይቀጥላል። So we don't know how much is there, but we almost always just of course ያወቅነውን እናውቃለን፣ በሱ ብዙ ነገር እንሰራለን። Now ለጥያቄ አንዳንድ ጊዜ I wish that I am a very yes and no person, but I am not. I'm a lot more in science ways. I understand there isn't a yes and no. It's a process. You will figure out, and there's gonna be still a lot of things. Now, do I know if there are things that are beyond our reach? Whether I say yes or no, it doesn't matter, because እያልኩ ያለሁት ኦር ሌላውም እያለ ያለው ሳይንሱም እያለ ያለው ሪሊጅንም በጣም ብዙ አናውኖች አሉ መታወቅ ያለባቸው ነው። እነዚህ ይታወቃሉ አይታወቁም ሃይፖቴቲካል ነገር ስለሚሆን ሃይፖቴቲካሊ ደግሞ የስ ብል እምነት ነው፣ ኖም ብል እምነት ነው። ሶ በእምነት ደረጃ I think then ስለ እምነት የምናወራ ይሆናል ማለት ነው። ስለ እምነት ደረጃ ደግሞ ከጠየቀኝ I think it is, I don't believe we will know everything, because we are also part of this creation. So just I don't think we will know everything, because we are just a sample as well in this universe. የሚል እምነት አለኝ። ሶ በእምነት ደረጃ and whether ለጠየቀው ኢንፍሉዌንስ አድርገዋል አብሶሉትሊ። ማለት የሰው ልጅ ምንም ሌላ ታምር የለውም ባይ ነኝ። ሪፒትድሊ የምትሰራው ነህ። ስለዚህ ሪፒትድሊ ሳይንስ ከሆነ የምትሰራው ብዙ አመለካከቴ የሳይንስ ይሆናል። ሶ ኦፍ ኮርስ ብዙ ፊሎሶፊካልም እንትንም ምንም ብዙ ነገሮች በዛ ውስጥ ያልፋል። ሶ ፎር ሚ ኤግዛክትሊ that it goes through a lot of process, realization, understanding, what it means to be spirituality, what it means to be religious, what it means to be, and ultimately, if you ask me, like I said, okay, given that there are so many things I unknown, and given that, I like my parents, and I adopt what my parents gave me, because I didn't see any problem. So if it is anything ከነሱ ጋር የሚያስማማኝን አረጋለሁ። so የእናቴ አባት አምላክ የሚባለው ነገር ይገባኛል። Then in terms of philosophical, absolutely, I think cosmology for one thing, ሁልጊዜ የምለዋለ the methodologies are the same as ቅድም እንዳልኩት ሜዲሲን ምናምን ነው። you do science, you do statistical modeling, whatever. I have done ለምሳሌ ከኢፒኤችአይ ጋር ከኢትዮጵያ ፐብሊክ ሄልዝ ኢንስቲትዩት ጋር ኦር ከሌላ ከሜዲሲን ከሚሰሩ ጋር I use just the same cosmology knowledge, and I solve similar problems what they have. Health, for example, related ሊሆን ይችላል። ሜቶዶሎጂ አንድ ነው። ሳይንስ ሁላችንም we use a plus b, y is equal to ax plus b ብለን we use that one to model everything. So the same is science and medicine ላይ ሆን cosmology ላይ so በskill wise it's very intense. ግን በinterpretation wise then we deal with the really fundamental things, whether and then it has a lot more philosophical aspect in it. And I like to think fundamental ways of thinking. So that means, what it means to be human, what it means to be a purpose, what it means to be alive, what it means to be luxury, what it means to be opportunity. So all of that, it always constantly, using without forgetting where I am, where I come from, the opportunities that I have, and the luxuries I can afford, you think and you reflect. So I don't know if I answered your question. እንደዛ ነው።
እናመሰግናለን። የመጨረሻው ጥያቄ የሚሆነው ዶክተር what is your biggest dream or your end goal as a scientist? የመጨረሻ ግብህ የምትመኘው ሆኖ ተፈጥሮ ማየት የምትፈልገው ነገር አለ ወይ? ከዚህ ጋር ያይዘክ ደግሞ ምን አይነት ምክር ትሰጣለህ እንደኔ ላሉ ገና በጅማሬው ላይ ያሉ ተማሪዎች ያንተን ፓዝ ግን መከተል ለሚፈልጉ ምንም እንኳን ቀጥ ባለ ፓዝ እንዳንተ የሄድን ባይሆንም ማለት ቀጥ ያለ ስል ፊዚክስ ተምረን አስትሮፊዚክስ ወዘተ ያለ ስፔሻላይዝ ያደረግነ ሳይሆን እንደኛ ቴክ ፊልድ ላይ ያለ ልጆች ነገር ግን ፓሽኔት የሆነ ስለ ኮስሞሎጂ ስለ አስትሮፊዚክስ are we on the right path? What advice would you give us for as an expert in cosmology? እንዳልሶ ያለፍክበትም ስለሆነ እዚህ ጋር መርዳት ትችላለህ ብዬ ስለማስብ እዚህ ጋር ሀሳብህን ብትሰጥና እኔ ጋር ያለንን ቆይታ የምንቋጭ ይሆናል ማለት ነው። ዶክተር እድሉን ለእርሶ እሰጣለሁ።
like what advice ለሚለው ለራሴ የምመክረው ነው ለሰው የምመክረው ለራሴ that that I think some of the things that I felt was the right ምክር የሰማኋቸው ወይም ደግሞ the right things that I figured out ምለው አንደኛው I think to almost always focus on what is important ነው ማለት ይሄ ብዙ ማለት እሱ ራሱ ዕውቀት ነው you have to know this is not an easy thing it just doesn't come ግን it is to really look into ገለባውን ለይቶ ፍሬውን ማየት what actually is when you study why are you studying ብለህ ስታስበው ፍሬውን without bias without like ignoring ማለት ስላወቅን ስለተማርን ነው ያንን የምንጠይቀው so you can't ignore the fact that ያን ጥያቄ የጠየቀው ስላወቅ ነው so ዕውቀት አያስፈልግም ካል self inconsistency ይባላል so without ignoring just to really look at the signal ፍሬውን ማየት ወይም እዛ ላይ ማድረግ ሁለተኛው it's really to look for what I would call constantly one way or another if you have the habit of updating ራስን ሰልፍን በተለያየ ዕውቀቶች በተለያየ እንትኖች that's good habit if you don't have that habit build that habit because ultimately focus on what is be a good selfish to update yourself to learn about things and normally የሆነ ቦታ ላይ ስትደርስ የሆነ ነገር ሲያስፈልግ እዛ ላይ ማወቅ ይከብዳል so ቀድሜ ያወቅከውን ነው ሁሉ ጊዜ የሆነ ኦፖርቹኒቲ ሲመጣ የምትመነዝረው ስለዚህ it is important ቀድሞ መዘጋጀት so ሳንማር ዛሬ ስራ አለ ከተባለ ቆይ ልማር አንልም ለዛ ነው መማር የሆነ ነገር አለው so many things in life እሱ ነው so constantly update yourself እና constantly update በምናደርገው ፕሮሰስ ደግሞ ራሳችንን ኤክስፖዝ እያደረግን ለቻንስ ለሰክሰስ ኤክስፖዝ ራሳችንን እናደርጋለን so that is live in the areas where success is more comes more often so ለምሳሌ if we are just sitting at home success rarely comes at home but if we are just interacting with people learning getting into this web or these places where opportunities show up it helps so ስለዚህ expose yourself to opportunities and I think ያ ማለት በሌላ አባባል የራስን destiny በራስ ለቻንስ አለመስጠት to give it all the possible chances so that you are exposed to chances you are learning so you are being ready right so ስለዚህ በሌላ አባባል ሎተሪ እንዲወጣለት ለሚፈልግ ሰው ሎተሪ ካልቆረጠ ጥቅም የለው so even chance ራሱ zero chance ነው so to basically buy the lottery first before wishing that እጣ እንዲወጣል I think that's kaza that's the other part is really with all this you will figure it out because ይሄንን ሁሉ አንድ ሰው ያደረገ ሰው they will figure it out but just to complete it dream just don't stop dreaming bigger than yesterday's dream okay it's almost always we don't know the ቅድም እንዳልነው ሁሉም ሰው የሚያምንበት there's so much about being human and it's about discovering it constantly and to do that dreams are one bigger dreams whether you succeed in them or not they allow you to go step by step to get closer and closer and so I would say just dreaming bigger than yesterday's dream always is those are things that I some of the advices that I felt was good that I listened to them or that I experienced them in my life
ይመስለኝ አሁን አለው ብላችሁ ለምታስቡት ለምትፈልጉት ነገር እየተዘጋጃችሁ ጠብቁና ዘንድ ኦፖርቹኒቲ ሲመጣ ግራስፕ ማድረግ ነው ማለት ነው
absolutely
ከዚህ በፊት የጠየቅኩት ጥያቄ ዶክተር የመጨረሻ ህልምህ ምንድነው ማለት at the end of the day what is your biggest dream or end goal as a scientist as a cosmologist
I think they after thinking a lot about it, what it became is to ask a good question in life, because answer is not in my control, but asking the good question is really in my control. And the reason is that asking a good question is not easy, because if you want to ask a very good research question, you have to be a researcher in that field. So questionንም እንደዛ ስትወስደው you have to do a lot to really ask a good question. And whether you are the one to answer it or not is is another. So I think my part is that if I'm to die tomorrow and I'm in my death's bed, what I would ask myself is that was was I able to ask really good questions and share them.
So it's about the right question, not about the answer.
Right sound good question that helps, that moves
That's
the
a
needle.
good question. Yeah.
Yes. Right and wrong, unfortunately, is very loaded. So more, yeah. እኔም አመሰግናለሁ።
ወደ አንቺ መልስሻለሁ።
ኦኬ ቴንክ ዩ ሄኖክ። እንግዲህ ከኮሆስቴ ጋር ጥሩ ኮንቨርሴሽን እያደረጉ ነበር ዶክተር ያበባል። አይ ሆፕ ሁላችሁም እንደኔ ኢንጆይ እያደረጋችሁት እንደነበር። ሶ ከኔ ጋር የምናወራው ስለ ዴታ ሳይንስ እና ማሽን ለርኒንግ ሪሌትድ የሆኑ ቶፒኮች ላይ ነው። ሶ ዶክተር ኤአይ ላይ ያለክ ኢንተረስት እንዴት ነው የጀመረው? ምንድነው ስፓርክ ያደረገው? ባክግራውንድ ኮስሞሎጂ ኤንድ ፊዚክስ ሪሌትድ እንደመሆኑ ሺፍቱ እንዴት ነው ሀፕን ያደረገው? እንዴት ናቪጌት አደረግከው? እንዴት ወደ ኤአይ ገባህ የሚለው ብትነግረን።
ያ ሶ አይ ቲንክ ቅድምም ልጠቅሰው የሞከርኩት ኢቭን ኮስሞሎጂም ላይ ስሰራ ሎት ሞር ኦፍ አክቹዋሊ የምሰራ የነበረው the biggest data, the biggest computing infrastructure. No, because cosmology and particle physics and especially are really intensive data nature. So you need to invent lots of algorithms. You need to really program in this, save the tiniest memory you can and the tiniest computation you do. So, I was a lot more writing codes in Fortran, and running it like in 10,000s of CPUs, and then process a petabyte of data. And when you do that, that's just basically really, there is nothing about it. And then you do statistical modeling. So early ከዛም ጀምሮ ከመጀመሪያውም ኮስሞሎጂ ላይ ከገባው ጊዜ ጀምሮ like as a masters ከዛም በፊት I was just writing codes, and I was running these algorithms, coming up with algorithms, doing some statistical modeling, whatever machine learning we had to do. So I knew ከገናም ያለው I was just highly involved in AI related. So AI development, just when it goes from different, at least እኔ በነበርኩበት ውስጥ ያለውን ከ2007 በፈረንጆች ጀምሮ ማለት ነው ምንም ሳይታወቅ ጀምሮ to 2012 when it was like wow የመጀመሪያው እንትን, then to 2016 when things got really interesting, to now I had tracked and I had experience. The question is more than ከዛ በኋላ the shift in focus. So from applying AI to understand the universe to applying AI to do some other things, it started more in 2016, where I was just more interested. ሁለት ፖስትዶክን ጨርሼ I was much more focused on African related things, creating data sets or analyzing data sets within Africa. And it moved away, not only cosmology, I wanted to know a lot more satellite data and ተጠቅሞ Earth observing satellite ተጠቅሞ trying to understand, measure SDG goals, ለምሳሌ using satellite data and AI, measure like some form of like data, human made የሆኑትና natural made የሆኑትን ከሳተላይት ዴታ ዲቴክት ማድረግ ምናምን የሚሉት a lot more hands-on, really deep learning and generative adversarial network ምናምኖች ላይ እዛ ላይ አክቲቭ ሆንኩኝ. Then I think I would say, yeah, so the shift was, when you do those kind of things, many of the atmospheric science people, many of the people that are working on mining, you think that they are doing, if they do really that the cutting edge science, they actually use lots and lots of AI and lots of computers. So yes, so it was not a transition, it was just a focus change. So ምናልባት ያ ግልጽ ያደርገዋል።
ኦኬ ሶ ከሰራህባቸው ኤአይ ሪሌትድ ከሆኑ ሪሰርቾች ፕሮጀክቶች ላይክ አሁን ላለህበት የክሪር ፖዚሽን በጣም ኢምፓክትፉል ነው የምትላቸው ካሉ ትንሽ ስለ ሪሰርቾች ሜንሽን ብታደርግልኝ።
ያ ሶ አይ ቲንክ ኤአይ ሪሰርቹ አይደለም ኢምፓክት አለው ብዬ የማምነው as much ለኔ አሁን currently ያለውበት a lot more of it is understanding fundamentally, signal ምንድን ነው፣ noise ምንድን ነው, how do you learn something that is unknown, how do you, what are the key elements in ለምሳሌ whether statistical modeling እንለዋለን, how do you formulate your problem to solve and address certain problem in a scientific method የሚለው እነሱ very fundamental ናቸው. That's basically research knowledge ወይም science, basic science, doing basic science. Then within the AI, I would say just a lot more of it was simulations, research that I have done in using a Planck satellite to understand anomalies, like in our understanding of the universe, searching for anomalies. Yeah, በዛ ላይ I had to use everything from statistical modeling to machine learning to that. So that basically really allowed me to master some of the very skills that are required everywhere, like whether it's fraud detecting in banking or anomaly detection in the cosmic microwave background. They are very similar techniques and so on. But applying that for Ten Academy and Astrobus የሚባል ነበረ. So to actually solve and address problem myself instead of doing it from the background, doing research, to really in the foreground, make that impact becomes, I would say, the most important foundational thing, because suddenly you are dealing now not just contributing knowledge, but you are looking for impact in real life, in humans' life, in individuals' life. And I think that became the central piece, or whatever is influencing, whatever I am here now, whatever I am doing, ያለው እሱ ነው. It is to try to see the outcome of የኤአይውን machine learning-ን data engineering-ን in humans' life impact. That means individuals gain, in a short amount of time. So which is the Ten Academy የምንሰራው that has biggest አሁን ላለውበት።
ኦኬ አሁን ስለ ቴን አካዳሚ ኢኒሺዬቲቭ እናውራና እኛም አንተን ላይክ ኢንተርቪው ለማድረግ የወሰንነው በቴን አካዳሚ ምክንያት ስለሱ ከሰማን በኋላ ነውና እንዴት እንደተመሰረተ ምን ላይ እንደሚሰራና ቪዥኑ ምን እንደሆነ ብትነግረን።
So ቴን አካዳሚ የተመሰረተው in part out of frustration ነው። አንደኛው frustration, I think, two co-founders አሉት, አሩን እና እኔ, and we both were working in different African countries, including Ethiopia. Like ለኔ the most then important ምን ሆነ, whatever you train, it's not talent that was in shortage. Just like if I didn't have an opportunity, I would not have been here. And now that is what was changing. So opportunity እየጠበቀ ደግሞ አብዛኛው ታለንቱ ዌስት ይሆናል ምንም ሳይሰራበት, because opportunity ስለሌለ ማለት ነው. And therefore we then thought, like, okay, it would be nice if we contribute to that aspect, which means knowledge, opportunity, በአጭር ለመግለጽ ኦፖርቹኒቲው እዚህም አሁን አብዛኛው ሰው ከአገር ከወጣ ሆፕፉሊ ልክ እኔም እንደነበርኩት then they somehow make it, and if they are lucky they return back and contribute with that knowledge, and most of them remain there. But that waste is really a lot of waste. And ያ waste ብዙ አይነት ዲስአድቫንቴጅ አለው። አንደኛው ታለንትድ የሆነ ሰው ዌስትድ ሲሆን ኖት ኦንሊ የዛ ታለንት ብቻ ሳይሆን የሚጠፋው ፊውቸሩም ላይ ሌላውም ሰው ታለንትድ እንዳይሆን ወር ያንን እንዳይሰራ ዲስከሬጅ ያደርጋል። ሶ if there is even a small amount that we can do such that ኦፖርቹኒቲውን ብናሰፋው ታለንትድ የሆነው ሰው ፋይናንሽሊ which everybody understand የሚያደርገውና ፋይናንሽሊ ራሱን መርዳት ቢችል ራሱን ብቻ ሳይሆን like show off ማድረግ ብትችል that would be amazing. So then we said, okay, let's focus on really universities do their job, like okay, train ያደርጋሉ ግን still whether ዩኒቨርሲቲም ገቡ አንድ ሰው አልገባ እንትን አለው like the talented people really find a way to be talented. So if we connect ያንን talented የሆነውን to እዛው የትም ሳይሄዱ የግድ መውጣት የለባቸው if they can be doing any jobs in the whole world, then that means financially they will be independent, they will help themselves, everybody will know, will see. So that's how it started. So it was not an easy journey because the goal was really, of course everybody wants to do it, but doing it such that it succeeds is very hard. It took us some time, but ultimately what we managed to prove is that exactly that. So with a small investment, like, I think our current standing is that for every $1 that is invested in our training, $1,000 is yield. So the yield is more or less a 1,000 times over lifetime. But the number of people, we really have a 95% placement rate, and so many things and so many life changed. And while being here, just being talented, and then connecting that talent and equipping that talent with the right small whatever needed to work anywhere in the world. And so many of the people probably have friends as well that they changed የራሳቸውን life, which then እነሱን ያዩ ደግሞ ሌላውም ሰው will change. So the small ignition has started and we are catching the fire. Hopefully this fire will grow.
ኦኬ ሶ ቴን አካዳሚ ምን አይነት ፕሮግራሞች ነው ያሉት?
So we mostly focused on the choice came because we wanted to compete on the future technologies instead of the past technologies. So we focus a lot more on AI. So AI engineering, machine learning engineering, data engineering, and blockchain engineering. And so we equip and help people get placed all over the world በእነዚህ እንትኖች በእነዚህ ፊልዶች so just these different emerging as well as also established but really relevant engineering fields, like including data science as well, but it's like data science, data engineering, machine learning engineering, AI engineering, and blockchain engineering.
ኦኬ ናይስ ሶ እስከማውቀው ድረስ የቴን አካዳሚ ፕሮግራም አጭር ናቸው ራይት? የሶስት ወር እንደሱ ናቸው እና በዚህ አጭር ታይም ፍሬም እንዴት ነው ጆብ ሬዲ የምታደርጓቸው? አብዛኛው የሰብስክራይበራችን ቤዝ ፕሮግራመርስ እና ኤአይ ዴታ ሳይንስ ላይ ኢንተረስትድ የሆኑ ሰዎች ስለሆኑ ጆይን ቢያደርጉ ኢንተረስትድ የሆኑ ሰዎች እንዴት ነው የሚረዳቸው?
Yeah, so knowing exactly እንዳልሽው like looking at our numbers, which is 95% placement into a high paying or global level job በአንድ ዓመት ባልሞላ ጊዜ ውስጥ ከኛ ጋር ትሬን ባደረጉ I think, and then given that also our intervention is very short, so ከ3 እስከ 6 ወር for different programs, then እኔ የምለው ሲክሬቱ is really ከኛ ሳይሆን አብዛኛው basically we allowed whatever we do, that's maybe the part, whatever we do allowed people to trust and to see and change their mindset within that period. በሶስት ወር የምታገኙ ስኪል ብዙ አይጠቅምሽም. But so some of the ingredients are, of course, we select, actively select, interested የሆነ መቀየር የሚፈልግ, who can put work, who really already just በቃ እንትን የሆነውን እሱን ሴሌክሽን ፓርቱ አለው. Then they see it for themselves. What we do is really for them to see what they can do. So the whole point is not really teaching this, teaching that. It's about showing the person, showing you, showing her, showing him, to really see what they are capable of, while at the same time focusing on 50-50 hard skill and soft skill, that you have to learn repeatedly. Culture build ማድረግ አለብሽ because if you're working for an American company, you can't just use your Ethiopian culture, like, because you have to understand and adopt. You have to not change, but just at least understand and behave in a culture that pays you. So you have to understand, you have to have that mindset shift. Actively you have to change. Good. I think what our part is really, all of our design is such that, and so የራሱን capability, what they can do in short amount of time. And ቅድምም ብየዋለው ከሄኖክ ጋር ሳውራ whatever it takes mantra እንዲያደርጉት ማድረግ ነው. And whatever it takes ደግሞ assist them to see it again and again. In 12 weeks we help them to see it again and again. Okay, if you do whatever it takes and you put hard work, you put grit, you put strategy and discipline, but that's it. You do it, you see it. You're not that different. You're human, a fully capable, a miracle object, a miracle thing. So you can do many things, but you need to be seen that through a strategy. So it's hard work, grit, discipline, and mindset shift. And then you don't need us to tell you. You believe yourself. ከዛ በቃ it gets successful ማለት a person who is that is successful. Everybody wants that person. We want that person, so we hire almost 99 ካልሆነ በስተቀር that what we trained, because we believe them, and every company who hired them hires them back, because these people believe in themselves and they have what it takes and they do it. So simply just that shows በቃ ለሌላውም ኦኬ አንቺ ከቀጠርሽ እነዚህ ሰዎች ብሎ አንቺ ራሱ አድቨርታይዝ ትሆኝልናለሽ ማለት ነው. So I think it's that.
ኦኬ ሶ ኢንታየርሊ ቴክኒካል የሆነ ነገር ብቻ ሳይሆን ከሪል ላይፍ ጋር አፕሊኬሽኖች ጋር ኤክስፖዝ ማድረግ ከስራዎች ጋር ማለት ነው።
Value, what to help people understand what value is, how to give value and how to take value, how to receive value, how to give value. And receive value mostly, I think our focus currently is a lot more financial value. Just you get almost always good salary, and because you give good value for the company, probably a profit company corner, they because they hire you, they get jobs done.
ኦኬ ሶ ብዙ የአፍሪካ ካንትሪስ ውስጥ ሰርቻለሁ ብለህናል እና ኤአይ አሁን ላይ ያለው አፍሪካ ውስጥ ያለው ዲማንድ እንዴት ነው ከሌሎች የዓለም ክፍሎች አንጻር እና ፖቴንሻሉ እንዴት ታያለህ? ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥም አፍሪካ ውስጥም።
እነዚህ አይነት ጥሩ ጥያቄዎች ናቸው. ኢትስ አንፎርቹኔትሊ አፍሪካ ኢን ጀነራል አንሌስ you take out አሁን ለምሳሌ ሳውት አፍሪካ ምናምንን እነሱ ስላይትሊ ዲፍረንት ፕሮግረስ አላቸው የተለያየ ሃይቴክ የሚሆኑ ነገሮች ስላሏቸው. And Kenya, Nigeria, probably slightly different. But the rest of it, አብዛኛው ቢዝነስ ያው ቢዝነስ ስለሆነ አንድ ነገር ራን የሚያደርገው ሃየርም ብዙ የሚያደርገው አብዛኛው ቢዝነስ is not yet AI driven ወይንም የሆነ ሃይቴክ driven አይደለም. You just go to China and you bring something, you sell it, that's it. You make your money. You probably, if not, then you have some money, you've worked somewhere, you come and invest it in real estate or something, you make money. You don't need that much. There's already a lot of people who wants house, therefore you sell a house and you get, or you import a car and you, so አብዛኛው እዛ ላይ አልደረሰም በኒድ ደረጃ ካልሽ. But the world is changing, and that means we are just part of the world and there's no going back. It's like computers. It might take us some time, but ultimately we all use computer, mobiles. It might take us some time, but we all use now mobiles. So the same is, it might take us sometimes, but it will be the center of our life. AI will be the center of our life in the near future, whether it is because we use it in our daily life or we earn from it, or በአንድ way ብቻ ሴንተር መሆኑ አይቀርም. So በኒድ በቢዝነስ ደረጃ what is the companies that hire, I think it might not be as much as as much not yet still, because many of businesses are not high-tech driven, or they're not, they make lots of money without using anything sophisticated or not even but actual influence ደረጃ ግን ወደድንም ጠላንም the world will change to AI driven, and we will be AI driven as well. just ግን ጋፕ ሊኖረው ይችላል። and መቼ ያ ጋፕ በቃ ጠቦ our daily life AI ይሆናል just like currently mobile እና ኮምፒውተር እንደምንለው እሱን አላውቅም፣ ግን yes, it's just gonna be ultimately, there's no going back.
እሺ ስለ ሆቢዎች ልጠይቅህና ኢንተሌክቹዋሊ ዲማንዲንግ የሆነ ፊልድ ውስጥ እንደመሆንክ how do you unwind? እንዴት ነው ፍሪ ታይምህ እንዴት ነው ስፔንድ የምታደርገው?
Yeah, so I love just, I love that I am healthy and I'm able to do what I'm doing now, and what I'm doing also by accident helps people. Amazing. So it's a luxury to do that, and so that already is entertaining. Even if I work 24 hours, I really just enjoy it. So that already itself for me in part is a hobby. My work became a hobby as well. But that saying, yes, እንዳልሽው demanding የሆነ brain and side ላይ ብቻ ከሆነ it doesn't become creative. So it needs to unwind in a certain completely other things. And I enjoy, our office offers a lot more, social life. I enjoy that. But as well as also completely also to not just only focus on work. I like dancing. So I do, Latin dances and dances, everything that's considered dance. And so ለዛም ነው ብዙ እንትኖቼ ምንም ቦታ ላይ they mention all of this and dance at the end, because just dance is part of my hobby as well.
Okay, interesting. So አብዛኛውን ጥያቄዎችን ላይክ ፕሪፔር ያደረኳቸውን በመሀል ላይ ስለመለስከው ወደ መጨረሻው ጥያቄ ነው የምሄደው። it's just a piece of advice ካለ AI ላይ ዴታ ሳይንስ ላይ መግባት ለሚፈልጉ
Okay. Yeah, I think ቅድም ያልኩት እንዳለ ሙሉን, and if I add just about specific to AI, know that the field is really, really, really fast. በቃ ምንም AI አውቃለሁ ብሎ ማውራት በቃ ክሬዚ ነው የለም የሚባል። it's just ትናንትናና ዛሬ ይለያያሉ። like it doesn't matter whether it's me who has been doing it for a couple of years or somebody who's just starting. It just is so fast, and really so fast. I mean, it's not understatement. So let's see, get updated, get in this kind of programs, listen maybe podcasts and whatever is necessary. Just intentionally spend enough time to get to not only don't be ትልቁ ሌላኛው ችግሩ አብዛኛው ሰው የጋዜጠኛን ብቻ ጽሁፍ ማንበብ ጥቅም የለውም። AI ለመስራት you just have to do technical things, get your hands dirty, participate in whatever you can participate. ቅድም ባልኩት መሰረት expose yourself to get technically capable, ማለት technical knowledge እንዲኖር, not only theoretical but also hands-on. If you are doing a project, whether you are mechanical engineer, whether you are, a civil engineer, associate it with AI, because there's absolutely, you can collect data and put it in AI and just write something, just use it. And therefore because nowadays whatever a person do, AI can do, and you can automate many things. And hands-on, but hands-on and hands-on. There's no AI ማውራት ብቻውን, that's only good for people who are advocates. But the actual people, the students, whatever, do it. Just use it, become good at it, and explore its power. ሌላ ምንም ምስጥር የለውም። በቃ መራመድ ነው አብሮ። ከዛ that's it. We are going to be ready when we are needed. እና ብዙ ኦፖርቹኒቲዎች በሱ አሉ that we can really compete and win a lot of things because we are early adopters of AI. እና ያ ነው ቅድም ካልኩት ላይ የሚጨምረው።
ኦኬ ቴንክ ዩ። የዛሬው ኤፒሶድ እንግዲህ ይሄን ይመስላል። ዶክተር አንተን በጣም እናመሰግናለን ጊዜ ወስደህ ጆይን ስላደረከን። ያ
እኔም በጣም አመሰግናለሁ። አይ ቲንክ ጥያቄዎቻችሁ በጣም ሬሌቫንት እና ጥሩ ስለነበሩ ቴንክ ዩ።
እሺ እኛም በጣም እናመሰግናለን። ሶ ቴክኢት ፋሚሊ ሁላችሁም ጆይን ስላደረጋችሁን ቴንክ ዩ። ኮሆስታችንም ሄኖክ በጣም እናመሰግናለን። ሶ ኔክስት ዊክ በሌላ ኤፒሶድ እንገናኛለን። ጉድ ናይት።
ታንክስ ኤቭሪዋን ባይ።